What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Riley's Talk and my top 5 games of the week. We've made it. We have made it to the end, and we have gotten to the number 1 game of the week. As usual, these all surround the upcoming NFL playoffs, which starts in about 2 weeks. So, and the winner is, my games of the week winner is, but do me a favor before we reveal that. As always, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, and share the video, please. So again, the winner is game of the week, the Seahawks versus the Rams. This should be very entertaining. This should be. It is going to be, but it's not going to be the type of entertaining you think it's going to be. But it's going to be very well played and very hard fought. So, the matchup, there is plenty at stake here. There's not even enough time to go over what's at stake. But let's go to start with the Seahawks. They're 10-4. They have already clinched the playoffs, so that is a good thing. So they can even lose their last 2 games, but in worst case scenario, they are in the playoffs. They lead the NFC West, and they will clinch with a win. They can still claim the number 1 seed, but they needed a miracle in that. Now, the one thing, if you watch enough football this year, the one thing we know about the Seahawks, their defense is atrocious. I mean, it is atrocious. Especially at the beginning of the season, they were winning, but they were getting just torched all over on defense. One thing that makes Seattle so dangerous, and a lot of people either love them or hate them, they have a big play capability at any time with their receivers, with Wilson, what have you. The Rams, what's at stake? They're 9-5. They're not officially in the playoffs yet, but pretty much they are. I mean, put it this way, they can still miss out. They can still miss out because they control their own destiny in the West. Now, do not let last week's loss against the Jets fool you. It was a bad loss. No one's going to deny that. But this is still a very, very talented team. So I was just saying, they control their own destiny in the NFC West from wild card all the way up to the division. They win their last 2 games, they win the division because they would have, I think, 2 victories over the Seahawks. As I just said, the upset loss of the year last week to the Jets. I mean, it was a bad loss. I mean, there's no other way to look at it other than that way. Very balanced team on offense and defense and special teams. Now, here's the key. They can still be left out of the playoffs, even as possibly at 10-6. Because they lose today, then Seattle clinches the West off top. Let's get the team offense and defensive rankings. The Rams, 8th in total offense, 9th in rushing offense, and 13th in passing. So they are really well balanced, especially with Jared Goff. Jared Goff will never win the MVP. Jared Goff will never lead the league in passing yards, what have you. But they are a very well balanced run and pass team. Defense, the number 1 total defense in the NFL. So people forget that this team is literally only 2 years removed from a Super Bowl appearance. Granted, that wasn't the defense that lost that Super Bowl appearance. That was the offense. They only scored 3 points that game, but they kept New England to 13 points. This is primarily still that same defense. They are 2nd in rushing defense and 1st in passing defense. That's very key because definitely Seattle is going to try to throw the ball. So they're number 1 against yards per game receiving. I missed the 1 right there. That's a very key stat because, again, with those talented receivers that Seattle has, they are going to keep the Rams secondary on their heels. Let's get into the Seahawks. As you can see, Mr. Wilson and his wife, and, we got the big boy up there, Metcalf. Metcalf is a fucking freak of nature. I mean, this dude was created in a fucking lab somewhere. So the Seahawks, 9th in total offense, 12th in passing offense. You would think they would be a little bit higher, but they do run a ball a decent amount of time, especially with Wilson's scrambling ability. So on top of that, they are 11th in rushing offense. So again, they're balanced. They're pretty balanced around the way. They are 10th in receiving yards per game. This right here is wrong. 25th in total defense. I don't mean it's wrong that I put the wrong number up. This number is skewed because, again, some of the teams that they've played, and I will get to that in a second, the Seahawks defense is atrocious, and it's worse than you really actually think. They are last in passing defense, but the one thing that they do well, they are 3rd in rushing defense. That is the one stat. But through their secondary, these boys get torched almost at a historically bad proportion. Looks can be deceiving, and sometimes they can be worse than what they really look. That's what I just meant, what I just said. The Seahawks aren't as good as you think they are. They really are not. The Seahawks have become like this. It's a reason why I like messing around with Russell Wilson, stuff like that. It's a reason why I put Sierra down there, because their relationship keeps Seattle in the media. Seattle's big plays keep them in the media. They're almost borderline like a paparazzi style team. It's like they don't have a lot of fans, but they have more haters than they do fans. But the more haters you have, the more popular you become as well. So again, the Seahawks are not as good as you think they are. Don't believe me? Let's dig deeper for proof. 3 of the Seahawks win come against the NFC East. Yes, that NFC East over there, that horrible conference, that horrible division. On top of that, they lost to the Giants by 5. Now, in those games against the NFC East, their plus differential in those games are a combined 3 points on average. Basically, if you took the 4 games that they played against that conference, if you took each game's final score and you add it up, that they become 3-1, but they're only beating those teams by 3 points. And the only reason why it's that high is because of the shootout they had against Dallas. They only beat Dallas by 7, and that's their biggest margin of victory. They beat Dallas 38-31. As I said earlier, they're heavily reliant on big plays. I mean, you take a touchdown when you get it, but at some point you have to sustain drives. So their last 3 games, this is what I mean by their defensive rankings are kind of skewed, because the NFC offense-wise completely sucks. So last 3 games, football team, the Giants, and the Jets. They skewed the true defensive numbers. And again, they lost to the Giants. They beat the Jets 40-3. You were supposed to do that. Don't get me wrong, although the Rams lost to them. But you're not going to get any brownie points for beating the Jets 40-3. Lastly, they've given up 30 or more points 5 times this season. That is a lot. That is a lot, especially with 4 losses. Also, as I said, they've given up 30 points 5 times or more this season. They're also 27th in the league in stopping teams from converting third down. They're damn near letting teams convert third down 50% of the time. If you cannot stop a team on third down, you cannot get back on the field and run your offense, and you cannot score. So the Seahawks are not as good as they appear or their record shows. So, a game within a game. The Rams' balanced offense versus the Seahawks' porous defense. That's your game. That is how this game is won or lost on either side. Now, let's get between the numbers here. The game comes down to this. Can the Rams run up the score and keep Seattle's offense off the field? So, one thing about the Rams, they're winning, they're good, but the Rams play an old school style game. You get a lot of 24, like when they played the Bears a few months back. The final score was 24-10 if I could recall. It really should have been 24-3. But it's like one of those games that they'll just beat you into submission, but they don't run up the score. So the final score of their games are not true indicators of actually how good or bad that the Rams really are. Let's dig into the Rams offense. 5th best in time of possession at 31 minutes and 32 seconds a game. They're 10th in third down conversions. So again, let's go back to the previous slide what I just said. The Seahawks. They give up third down conversion at almost 50%. So imagine them not being able to get off the field. On top of that, the Rams get the ball back. Let's just say they get the ball a touchback at the 25-yard line. And that porous defense, the Rams then just keep hitting 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 7. You know, after a while, that tends to not only wear a defense down, but it does something against your psyche. Number one, it keeps the Seattle's offense off the field. Now, back into the Rams offense. They're 9th in rushing yards per game at 127.9 yards. Not the greatest in the world, not the worst in the world. But it's over 100 yards a game. But they more do the run by committee style thing a little bit out there more than any other team I've seen. The Rams, now they're kind of high on the turnover side. They're 26th worst with 22 turnovers. So that right there is probably why they're not better than what they should be. But the Rams are still a damn good team if you really pay attention to them. Keys to victory. Aaron Donald, you need to smother the Seahawks offense. You need to get in the backfield and smother that offense. That's it. That's all. Just smother that offensive line, generally speaking. As I just kind of hinted at, the Rams aren't as good on offense as the stats show. Yeah, they have some higher numbers, but a lot of that is due to their defense. Would have been in short field position areas, and they're just really not as good as the stats show. Seahawks, although this is part of your problem, the big play. You need to have a couple of big play and Wilson's moon balls. I don't know how this guy does this. I mean, he literally just looks like he just lobs it into the air, and either Metcalf or Lockett just runs under it. It's like he just lands in their basket perfectly. Also, utilize Metcalf and Lockett in the middle game as well. Don't just throw the ball all downfield. Hit them with those slants. Hit them with a couple of dig routes. The 5-and-out routes. The West Coast offense style stuff. So, it also keys to victory. For the Rams, don't let Wilson beat you. Don't let the wide receivers beat you either. Wilson, he is 5th in sacks allowed. Now, as good as he is at running the ball, one thing if you ever notice about Russell Wilson is when the pressure comes, he folds. And he folds faster than you actually realize. And I don't mean that in a bad way that he's scary or something like that. He just never takes the big hit. When that pocket collapses, he will just fold. So he's actually been sacked the 5th most time in the NFL. But you need to sack them and keep the ball going backwards. Keep them behind the sticks, basically. With that also, protect Wilson for the Seahawks. But again, with Aaron Donald coming off that edge over there, that is so much easier said than done. Let's get into the gambling. As always, I get my numbers from Rivers Casino. Spread money line. So I did this a couple of days ago, and this spread did not move at all. So the spread as of right now is the Seahawks are favored to win by 1, whereas the Rams are favored to lose by 1. So this is about as close of a game as you can possibly have. And I'll get to that in a moment when I get to my predictions. So again, the Seahawks are favored to win by 1 point. Now, if they win by only 1 point and you took the Seahawks on the spread, again, I keep saying this, it's for those to understand, that's a push. You only win your money back. With the Rams as well, if they lose by exactly 1 point and you took that, if you're going to pick on the Rams, you might as well just pick the Rams on the money line, to be honest with you. There's a reason for that. Because you just win your money back. The Rams are almost borderline a straight up bet. Almost like you're betting against your buddy right now. The Seahawks, with the money line, you need to put up $114 just to win $100 back. So to me, depending upon who you win a betting with or against, this is about close to a you pick 'em game that you can possibly have. The over-under. This actually went down over the past couple of hours. It was at 47.5 at 9 o'clock last night or something like that. So it went down to 47. So I'm assuming that the powers that be are making you, pick a number. You'll understand this later on. So the over-under is 47. My predictions. As I just said, this is a true you pick 'em game. This is a type of game where you're arguing with your buddies. Nobody's right or wrong. Both teams have a chance to win this game. The Rams will do what they do on offense. Do not expect a shootout. I mean, don't. It's not going to happen in this game. Seattle will do what they do on offense. Big plays. I mean, easier said than done to stop those big plays. They have some of the best receivers in the NFL, and then they have a very shifty quarterback who can just keep plays alive. Both teams won't back down. If this is a division matchup, both teams, although the Seahawks are in the playoffs, they're still fighting for the division crown because if they win, that's it. The Rams are still playing for division crown, but the Rams at this moment still can be left out of the playoffs. So the Rams need this win more than the Seahawks do, to be honest with you. As I just said, Rams are still not in the playoffs, but they control their own destiny for the division. They really do. They can get the wild card still as well. And on top of that, I have the Rams 24-21. The way I see this game coming down is a last-second field goal in the fourth quarter or the Rams run the clock out. Don't be surprised if we get an overtime game. This is how important and how close these two teams are. So this is going to be a doozy. This is why I picked this one as the top game of the week. As always, and thank you for watching. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for getting between all 5 of these videos. Believe it or not, it takes me a pretty good while to do these things. They only last about 15-20 minutes at that. But again, thank you for watching Riley's Talk. Please like, subscribe, and share. Have a great day and enjoy your NFL Sunday. Good night.